don't go immediately and quit your day job, essentially. I was amazed and delighted at how long I could keep working my full-time job and add in part-time and do this.
Jack, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to talk about something a little bit different, as your company is quite unique in what they're doing. The Quidditch Premier League, right? Well, how did you start this? Because we want to talk about, you obviously building a network and the whole lot, but how did you get into this? And I know I'm going to put it out there because most people are always going to go, you're obviously a huge Harry Potter fan.
I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan.
Shock.
It's the shock of the year. Everyone
Yeah.
gets shocked by that. I'm not. I mean, I liked it when I was a kid. I really got into it when I was a kid. And then, you grow up and I'm still fond of it. But
Yep.
ultimately, it's not why I joined the sport. I joined the sport when I went to university in 2013. My university had a team. I thought this looks like a great way to stay fit, or at the time, get fit.
Yeah.
And I thought, how hard can it be? It's Quidditch. It's going to be a bunch of nerds running around. It's going to be fine. I got this. I'm 6'4". It'll be fine. Turns out that most of them were former rugby players or basketball players,
Okay, all right.
and it is full contact. So
Right.
after my first session, I found out that it was not absolutely fine. It was actually quite a lot of work and quite difficult. But I caught the bug because it had a fantastic community around it. It was really welcoming, and it was so different.
Yeah.
And I just kept coming back.
Definitely different.
So that's how I got into the sport. And by the time I left university, I realised there was very little in the way of keeping graduates in the sport and keeping them excited about the sport, especially during the summer when the weather was a little bit nicer and we weren't having
Yeah.
to play in freezing cold mud.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, why don't we start a regional league in the UK, have regional teams, and have it a little bit more streamlined, glamorous, something that can really sell the sport to outside viewers, new audiences, new fans, and something that people can really get excited
Nearly
about.
what they did with like tag rugby, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really about kind of making sure that there's a package that if people want to find the sport and want to get into it, they don't have to dig through a whole load of lore and history and background context to get into it, which, happens with sport when
Yeah.
you want to attract new fans. So making it something that is just very accessible, very straightforward, and running during, the best, in my opinion, the best time of the year is something that's really given a shot of adrenaline to the sport in the UK, I think.
You didn't start this, which is quite different than a lot of our audience watching. You didn't say, I want to make money, I want to start a business, I'm going to do Quidditch Premier League. You started out of a love for it. When was the point that you went, I can actually monetize this, grow this, expand this? When was that point?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I didn't start it as a business. We put in all the gubbins of limited company and accounting software and all that kind of thing, but ultimately it was never a money-making venture until after our first season. And I thought, well, hang on, we've been double the amount of subscribers that we can take than our capacity. So we're obviously going to have to expand next year and probably have to expand the season after that, which ultimately happened. We've got people asking about partnering with us and using us to kind of attract bigger audiences. We've got a whole load of interest in things like merchandise and other revenue streams. And I thought, well, hang on, actually, there's some traction you can build here. But again, it wasn't about, making myself rich, thank God, because otherwise I think I'd be pretty disappointed by now. It wasn't about, setting up a big, profitable company. It was about building some traction for the sport and fulfilling our original mission of essentially making it quite attractive to new audiences. So better streaming, better venues, better merchandise and kids.
You were telling us off camera that you find it difficult at times when you're getting corporate sponsorship for the teams and a whole lot of them for what you're doing, that not everyone takes you seriously, right? What type of companies are sponsoring you at the moment?
So we partner with a whole range of companies that kind of work with our teams, and they span a whole load of sectors. So obviously you've got your sports sector, and they're really keen because it's the world's only full contact mixed gender sport.
Okay.
It's been hailed as the world's most progressive sport by Vice magazine. The Guardian, I think last year, said that it was the standard bearer for mixed gender sport. So it's something that's really attractive to sport companies. sport drinks, mouth guards, that kind of thing, to attract people who otherwise, are audiences that aren't getting into their traditional orthodox sports.
Yeah.
But it also goes a bit further than that, I used to work in corporate PR, and I used to see these big service industry companies trying to attract mainstream press, saying, well, why can't we get on the front page of BBC News? Why can't we get on, in the Metro, in the Evening Standard, in, all these high circulation papers? And we'd say, well, because people just aren't that interested in you. Unless you're going bust or having a scandal, people just aren't going to write nice things about you. But ultimately, if they partner with us, what we do is get a phenomenal amount of press, because we're Quidditch.
Yeah.
It's the wildest thing people have ever heard of.
You've had a good bit of press though yourself.
Yes,
haven't you?
yes. So we launched live on Sky News. We've been on BBC Breakfast in the past. We've been on ITV News, both local and national. We've been on Conan O'Brien, he mentioned
Wow,
us,
yeah.
when we were trending on Twitter during our launch. We've had a whole snowball of press.
Did you notice a lot of the subscriptions go up when that happened? People subscribing to it and a lot, yeah?
Yes, ultimately, because we are the elite of our sport, we still take, the more veteran players and that kind of thing. We've definitely seen more interest in the sport at a grassroots level. And something that I'm really proud of is that, by having people, there are so many times when I see new players come September or November or October, when our season's over, and I say, oh, how'd you get into the sport? And they say, well, actually, I saw something about the Quidditch Premier League in the summer, and I thought, that's amazing. I got to find out if there's a local community team or college team near me. And then they find it, and they go and they join, and then next year they're playing in the Quidditch Premier League, and they're up there with some of our very best. So that's something that, from
cool.
a personal level, is a really, really nice feeling.
You've done something that a lot of UK companies try and do, which is expand to Europe. Great timing with Brexit and all that sort of stuff.
It was visionary.
Yeah. But what way was everything organic, or when you realised I can make money out of this, it's a business, I can grow it, you say, okay, I'm going to expand to Europe? Or did you just see interest from Europe and just go, right, Spain, France, Germany, Italy? What way did you do it?
The first expansion we did was into Wales and Scotland, and that was very organic. We knew we'd have the numbers, we knew we'd have the players, we knew the appetite was there. For the upcoming season, the 2019 season, I decided, I think, in the beginning of 2018, that actually there was the appetite there. We'd had a lot of interest. Ultimately, there's maybe 1,200 players in the UK, of which we take 250, or we took 250 last season. It's gone up to 300 now. There are 6,000 players in Europe.
Wow.
So there's a huge appetite there. It's played in pretty much every European country. You've got an unbelievable dedication to the sport there. Belgium, for example, came second in the most recent World Cup, and it's growing, and there are new European national governing bodies popping up all the time, most recently in Eastern Europe, and having tournaments out there has really boosted that kind of interest. So I thought, look, how can we make this work? And at that point, it was a case of working backwards, shifting our model slightly to see how the teams could work and still be interesting and not just be that country's national team again playing, how we mix it up. So we introduced a draft system, and that's all very technical and a little not so interesting, but ultimately it was a case of knowing what we wanted and then working backwards and shifting kind of the playing field to make sure it worked.
You had said there that you didn't originally set this up as a business, right, to make money, and it was kind of like keeping everyone together and then providing somewhere that you could play this. Where do you see this going now? Like, because obviously it's a company now, and you're making money and you're profitable. Where do you see this going in the next year or two? Like, what are your plans? Like, you're in Europe. Any plans for further afield? I
think we've expanded every year since we founded. We started with 8 teams, then went to 10, and now we're at 17. So it's been a hectic few years. I think for the next year, or at least the next year, we'll be stopping adding new teams and just consolidating the ground we've got. At the moment, it's a case of boosting the quality of what we're offering to our customers. So nicer venues, more streaming, more photos, more merchandise, more perks of being a member. So working with companies to get them kind of perks, but also ensuring the sustainability of the league long term. So that's a case of, instead of signing 6-month, year-long partnerships, making sure we've got 3-year, 5-year kind of partnerships, that we can really work on a much deeper level with our partners, make sure that they're getting what they want out of it, make sure that we're tailoring what we're offering to make sure that they're getting the very best value out of it, because otherwise they might as well go anywhere. And it's a case of essentially slipping into our kind of 10-year plan rather than thinking, okay, well, when's the next season? Let's get ready, and thinking short term.
What would you say to people watching this who maybe, a lot of people watching this are in full-time jobs or in employment and don't have their own business. What would you say to someone who loves classic cars or watches or wants to make a business out of their passion? What one piece of advice before you wrap up would you give them?
It's going to sound really grim, but don't go immediately and quit your day job, essentially. I was amazed and delighted at how long I could keep working my full-time job and add in part-time and do this. I'm not going to lie, it was hectic, it was stressful. But ultimately, it's very possible, and it's far more possible that your business will fail than succeed. We're very lucky that we're still around. We're very lucky that we're still going, and most businesses aren't in that position. And it takes, even if you do succeed, it takes so long for it to really ratchet up. I mean, I'm only just able to, scrape out a paycheck from it. So that's something that just doesn't come on day one, unless you're fantastically fortunate or have struck gold. So keep going and figure out your boundaries on what you can do within your current setup.
Where can people find out more if they want to find out more?
Our website, quidditchpremierleague.com. We're on every social media in the planet, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. We've even got a Spotify where teams make playlists and stuff. And it's all Quid Premier League is the username on that, or search Quidditch Premier League, and we're right there.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for coming in. Super
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.